For 11 years, I routed every flight in your father's airline network. Now you're firing me because your fiancé does ops now? I asked the owner's son. Effective immediately, he snapped. I handed him my badge. You have 2 minutes before the first planes are grounded. Tell your dad I said good luck. That was yesterday. Today I'm sitting in my kitchen watching the news. They're calling it a system anomaly. The scroll at the bottom says 12 planes grounded at Midfield Regional. 3 more diverted to backup airports. The FAA is monitoring the situation. My wife Ellen pours coffee without asking. She knows. She always knows. They called yet? She asks. Twice. I didn't answer. Good. She sits across from me. We've been married 26 years. She's the only person who understood what I actually did at Apex Aviation, not just routing flights, not just logistics coordination. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text. Unknown number. We need to talk. This is Mitchell Reeves. Mitchell, my former boss, owner of Apex Aviation, father of the little shit who fired me yesterday. I delete it. Ellen raises an eyebrow. Mitchell? Yep. What did you tell him? Nothing. Deleted it. She smiles. Not a warm smile. A knowing smile. The smile she gave me when I told her what happened yesterday in that conference room on the 9th floor. Let me back up. Yesterday morning started normal. I arrived at Apex headquarters at 5:47 a.m. like I had every workday for 11 years. Swiped my badge, took the elevator to the 7th floor where operations control lived, checked the overnight reports. 3 weather delays in the Midwest. 1 mechanical issue in Tampa that maintenance cleared at 4:15 a.m. Standard Tuesday. At 8:30 a.m., my desk phone rang. Tom, can you come up to 9? Conference room B. It was Lisa from HR. When? Now, please? I saved my work. Logged out, took the stairs instead of the elevator because I needed the extra minute to think. Conference room B was the small one, the one they used for terminations. I'd seen 3 people called up there in my time at Apex. None of them came back to their desks. The room had 6 chairs around a narrow table. Only 3 were occupied. Lisa from HR sat at the far end with a folder. Next to her was Derek Reeves, Mitchell's son, 29 years old, MBA from somewhere expensive, hired into a VP role 18 months ago despite having exactly 0 operational experience. And beside Derek was the reason I was here. Vanessa Chen, 26, sharp cheekbones, expensive haircut, engagement ring the size of a grape, Derek's fiancée as of 3 months ago. Also the person who'd been sitting in on ops meetings for the past 6 weeks asking questions that proved she didn't understand how air traffic coordination actually worked. Tom, have a seat, Lisa said. I sat. Derek cleared his throat. He wouldn't look at me directly. Tom, we're making some structural changes to the operations team. Vanessa's been learning the systems, and we feel she's ready to take on a more centralized role in flight coordination. I said nothing. We're going to be transitioning your responsibilities over the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I repeated. Yes, we'll need you to document everything and train Vanessa on the core systems. I looked at Vanessa. She was scrolling through her phone. And after 2 weeks? Derek glanced at Lisa. Lisa opened the folder. After the transition period, your position will be eliminated, Lisa said. We're restructuring the department to operate more efficiently with current personnel. Current personnel meaning Vanessa. I leaned back in my chair. You're firing me so she can do my job. We're restructuring, Derek said. This isn't personal. Does your father know about this? Derek's jaw tightened. My father trusts me to make operational decisions. Operational decisions, I said. Right. Vanessa looked up from her phone. Is there a problem, Tom? First time she'd spoken. Her voice had an edge, like I was the one being unreasonable. Just trying to understand the timeline, I said. You've been shadowing ops for 6 weeks. I've been running the system for 11 years. And you think 2 weeks is enough time to transfer everything I know? I'm a fast learner, Vanessa said. I'm sure you are. Derek stood up. We appreciate everything you've done for Apex, Tom. We really do. But we need to evolve. Vanessa has new ideas about optimization and cost reduction that align with where we're taking the company. Cost reduction. That was the tell. Mitchell had been complaining about operational expenses for the past year. Derek probably sold this as trimming overhead. Get rid of the expensive senior guy. Replace him with a fiancé who'll work for less and won't push back on stupid decisions. When does the transition start? I asked. Today, Lisa said. We'll set up a training schedule and... No, Everyone stopped. No? Derek said. I'm not training her. You want her to do my job. She can figure it out herself. Tom, that's not effective immediately, I said. I pulled my badge off my belt and slid it across the table. It stopped in front of Derek. You have about 2 minutes before the first planes are grounded. Tell your dad I said good luck. I stood up. Wait, Derek said. You can't just... I just did. I walked out. Didn't clean out my desk. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just took the elevator down, walked through the lobby, and drove home. Ellen was in the garden when I arrived. She took one look at my face and knew. They fired you. Yep. Derek? And his fiancée. She pulled off her gloves. Jesus. Mitchell doesn't know, does he? Don't think so. What are you going to do? I thought about that. About 11 years of building something from scratch, about every system integration, every fail-safe protocol, every backup routing algorithm I designed to keep Apex running smoothly, about all the times Derek's father had called me directly because he knew I was the only one who actually understood how everything connected, about how I'd been careful, very careful, to make sure certain critical systems required credentials that only I had. I'm going to watch, I said. That was yesterday. Now it's 9:47 a.m. on Wednesday, and the news is showing footage of stranded passengers at Midfield Regional. The scroll says Apex is refusing to comment. The FAA has dispatched inspectors. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a call. Mitchell Reeves. I answer. Tom, what the hell is going on? Good morning, Mitchell. Don't good morning me. Half our fleet is grounded. Derek said you walked out yesterday without transitioning anything. What the hell were you thinking? I was thinking your son fired me. Silence on the other end. He what? You didn't know. Tom. He fired me so Vanessa could take over ops. Said it was a restructuring decision. Said you trusted him to handle operations. That little... Mitchell caught himself. Where are you right now? Home. I need you back here, now. We're bleeding money every minute these planes sit on the ground. I don't work for you anymore, Mitchell. I'll pay you whatever you want. Consultant rate, double your salary, just fix this. I looked at Ellen. She was reading something on her tablet, not reacting, but I knew she was listening to every word. I'll think about it, I said. Tom, I'll call you back. I hung up. Ellen looked up. How much is he offering? Double. That's not enough. I know. What do you want? I thought about Derek's face in that conference room, about Vanessa scrolling through her phone while they dismantled my career, about 11 years of loyalty repaid with a badge slide across a table. I want them to understand what they broke, I said. Ellen nodded. Then don't fix it yet? You're a bad influence. I'm your wife. It's my job. My phone rings again. This time it's Derek. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, a text. We need to talk. This is serious. I reply, you said it wasn't personal. Why are you making it personal? 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Derek, people are losing money. The company is losing money. Whatever point you're trying to make, you made it. Now just tell us what's wrong with the system. Me. Nothing's wrong with the system. The system works perfectly. You just don't know how to use it. Derek. Stop being childish. This is bigger than your ego. I stare at that text for a long time. Ellen looks over my shoulder. He actually said that. Yep. Unbelievable. I type. My ego kept your planes in the air for 11 years. Your fiancé has had the job for 18 hours. How's that working out? I hit send. No response. The news cuts to a press conference. Some guy in an Apex polo standing in front of a podium. He's reading from a statement. We're experiencing a temporary technical issue with our flight coordination systems. We're working with all relevant authorities to resolve this as quickly as possible. Passenger safety remains our top priority. Temporary technical issue. That's cute. Ellen mutes the TV. You built in fail-safes, right? Nothing dangerous? Of course. Every plane on the ground is there because the system won't authorize takeoff without proper verification. It's not a malfunction, it's a security feature. That only you can override. That only I can authorize, yes. Tom. What? You realize you're holding an entire airline hostage. I'm not holding anyone hostage. I don't work there anymore. They wanted Vanessa to run ops, so let her run ops. I'm sure she's got lots of new ideas about optimization. Ellen's quiet for a moment. Then, how long can they stay grounded before it becomes a real problem? Legally? Indefinitely, as long as there's a safety justification. Financially? Every hour costs them about $40,000 in direct losses. Then there's the reputation damage, the customer compensation, the regulatory scrutiny. So days, not weeks. Days, not weeks. My phone buzzes. Another text from Derek. Dad wants to meet with you. Today, name your price. I show Ellen. She smiles. Now we're getting somewhere. What do I tell him? Tell him you'll meet Mitchell. Not Derek, not Vanessa, just Mitchell. And it's not about price, it's about terms. I type it exactly as she said. Derek responds immediately. Fine. 2 p.m. His office. Me? No. Neutral location. The coffee shop on Westfield. 3 p.m. Long pause. Then, he'll be there. I set the phone down. Ellen stands up. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You built the systems, but I read the contracts, and I know exactly what you're worth. That's the thing about Ellen. She's not just my wife. She's a contracts attorney. Spent 15 years in aerospace litigation before she went independent. She knows aviation law better than most judges, and she never forgot the night 2 years ago when I came home furious because Mitchell had refused to implement a safety upgrade I'd designed, said it was too expensive. I'd spent 3 hours explaining to Ellen why the existing system had vulnerabilities that could cause cascade failures. She'd listened, asked questions, made notes. Then she'd ask me one question. If something goes wrong and people get hurt, who's liable? Depends on the specifics, but ultimately the company. And who authorized the decision not to implement your safety upgrade? Mitchell. In writing. Email. Forward it to me. I did. She saved it in a folder labeled Insurance. At the time, I thought she was being paranoid. Now I'm starting to understand. The news switches to another story. I turn it off. Check my email. Nothing from Apex, nothing from Mitchell directly, but there's one from Lisa in HR. Subject. Immediate action required. I open it. Tom, we need you to return all company property, including laptop, phone, access credentials, and any documentation related to Apex systems. Please arrange a time to come to the office to complete the offboarding process. Additionally, we need you to sign the attached separation agreement, which includes standard confidentiality and non-compete clauses. Please respond by end of business today. Lisa. I forward it to Ellen. She reads it, laughs. Actually laughs. They want you to sign a non-compete, she says, after they fired you. Yep. Don't respond. Don't sign anything. And definitely don't go to the office. Why not? Because the second you step on that property, they'll try to pressure you, get you into a room with Derek and Mitchell and Lisa and whoever else, make you feel like you're the problem, like you're the one being unreasonable. I am being unreasonable. No, you're being proportional. They ended your career to give your job to someone's fiancée. You don't owe them anything. She's right. I know she's right. But there's a part of me that still feels guilty, that still thinks about all those stranded passengers, about the pilots sitting in cockpits waiting for clearance, about the mechanics and gate agents and everyone else whose day got destroyed because of a pissing match between me and Derek. Ellen sees it on my face. Don't, she says. Don't do that to yourself. You didn't fire you. They did. You didn't put someone unqualified in charge of flight operations. They did. This is on them. People are stuck, Ellen. And whose fault is that? You built a system that requires qualified oversight. You are that oversight. They removed you and didn't plan for what happens next. That's not your emergency. I know she's right, but it still feels wrong. My phone buzzes one more time. This time it's not Derek or Mitchell or Lisa. It's a number I don't recognize. I answer. Is this Tom Brennan? Who's asking? My name is Jim Castillo. I'm a reporter with the Regional Business Journal. I'm doing a story on the Apex Aviation situation. I understand you were the senior operations coordinator until recently. Would you be willing to comment? I look at Ellen. She's shaking her head. No comment, I say. Mr. Brennan, sources tell me you left the company abruptly yesterday and that today's grounding is directly related to your departure. Can you confirm or deny that? No comment. Are you aware that passengers are stranded and the company is losing significant revenue? Do you feel any responsibility for... I hang up. Reporter, I tell Ellen. They're already leaking to press. That's desperate. What do I do? Nothing. Let them scramble. You're meeting Mitchell at 3 p.m. Until then, you stay quiet. You stay home. You let them realize exactly how much trouble they're in. She's right, so I wait. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. At 2:47 p.m., Ellen and I walk into Crestview Coffee on Westfield. It's one of those upscale places with exposed brick and reclaimed wood tables. Mitchell is already there, sitting alone in the back corner. No Derek, no Vanessa. Just Mitchell Reeves, 63 years old, founder and CEO of Apex Aviation, looking like he hasn't slept. Ellen and I slide into the booth across from him. "Tom," Mitchell says. "Ellen, thank you for coming." "Mitchell," I say. He looks at Ellen. "I appreciate you being here, but this is really between Tom and me." "I'm Tom's legal counsel," Ellen says. I stay. Mitchell blinks. "Legal counsel? Tom? What?" "Just a precaution," I say, "given the circumstances." Mitchell processes this, then nods. "Fine. Whatever makes you comfortable." A waitress approaches. We all order coffee. Nobody touches it when it arrives. "Tom, I need you to understand something," Mitchell starts. "I had no idea Derek was planning to let you go. None. If I'd known, I would have stopped it immediately. But you didn't stop it. Because I didn't know. Derek's been pushing for more autonomy in operations. I've been giving him room to prove himself. This is the first time he's..." Mitchell stops, rubs his face. "This is a disaster." "For you," Ellen says. "Not for Tom." Mitchell looks at her. "Excuse me? Tom doesn't work for you anymore. He has no obligation to fix Derek's mistake. So let's be clear about what this meeting actually is. You're here to ask Tom to clean up a mess that your son created when he fired a key employee to make room for his fiancée. That's not Tom's problem. That's yours." Mitchell's jaw tightens. "Ellen, I understand you're upset." "I'm not upset. I'm stating facts. Tom spent 11 years building a system that kept your planes in the air and your company profitable. Yesterday, your son terminated him without notice, without cause, and without understanding the consequences. Now you want him back. So the question isn't whether Tom will help you. The question is what you're offering in exchange for that help." Mitchell turns to me. "Is this how we're doing this? Negotiating through lawyers?" "You had Lisa from HR in the room when Derek fired me," I say. "So yeah, this is how we're doing this." Mitchell sits back, takes a breath. "Fine. What do you want?" "First, let's establish scope," Ellen says. She pulls out a tablet. "Tom's employment contract specified he was responsible for flight coordination, logistics integration, and system maintenance across all operational hubs. Is that correct?" "Yes," Mitchell says. "And in those 11 years, how many system failures occurred that resulted in grounded aircraft?" Mitchell hesitates. "None." "None," Ellen repeats. 11 years, 47 aircraft, 6 regional hubs, 0 system failures. Would you say Tom's performance was satisfactory?" "It was exceptional." "Tom, I've never questioned your work. You know that." "Then why was his position eliminated?" Ellen asks. "It wasn't supposed to be eliminated. Derek said he was restructuring. I thought that meant shifting responsibilities, not terminating people." "But you gave Derek authority to make those decisions," Ellen says, "which means you're responsible for the outcome." Mitchell doesn't argue. "Tom's willing to return as a consultant," Ellen continues, "but not under the same terms as before. His previous role was employee. His new role will be independent contractor with specific deliverables and protections." "What kind of protections?" "Full indemnification for any actions taken during the course of restoring operations. Written acknowledgement that today's grounding resulted from management decisions, not technical failure. And a guarantee that Derek and Vanessa will have no authority over Tom's work or decisions." Mitchell's quiet for a moment. "You're asking me to throw my son under the bus." "No," Ellen says. "We're asking you to acknowledge reality. Derek made a decision that grounded your fleet. Tom's offering to fix it, but he won't do it if there's any risk he'll be blamed for Derek's mistake or fired again the moment it's convenient." "And the rate?" Mitchell asks. "Triple his previous salary," Ellen says. "Paid weekly. Non-negotiable." Mitchell actually laughs. It's not a happy laugh. "Triple? You said you'd paid double. We're saying triple, plus expenses, plus a bonus of $50,000 when operations are fully restored. That's extortion. That's market rate for emergency consulting," Ellen says. "If you don't like our terms, you're welcome to have Vanessa figure it out. I'm sure she's very talented." Mitchell looks at me. "Tom, is this really what you want? To hold me hostage over money?" "It's not about money," I say. "It's about never being in this position again. You trusted Derek to manage operations. He fired me to make room for his fiancée. Now your planes are grounded and you need me back. What happens next time? What happens when Vanessa decides she doesn't like me questioning her decisions? What happens when Derek wants to cut costs again? I'm not putting myself back in a position where I can be tossed out because someone's ego got bruised." You think I'd let that happen again? You let it happen the first time. Mitchell has no response to that. Ellen taps her tablet. I've drafted a standard consulting agreement. Review it. If you accept the terms, sign it. If you don't, we walk out and you figure this out yourself. She slides the tablet across the table. Mitchell reads. His face gets tighter with each paragraph. When he finishes, he looks up. This agreement expires in 30 days. Correct, Ellen says. Tom fixes your immediate problem. After that, if you want him to stay on, you negotiate a new contract. But this time, you do it properly. And if I refuse? Then Tom goes home and you explain to your board why the company's bleeding money because your son fired the one person who knew how to run operations. Mitchell stares at the tablet, then at me, then back at the tablet. I need to make a call, he says. Go ahead, Ellen says. Mitchell stands, walks outside. Through the window I can see him pacing, phone pressed to his ear. He's animated, probably talking to his lawyer, or his board, or both. Ellen sips her coffee. He'll sign. You sound sure. He has no choice. Every hour costs him $40,000. He can't afford to negotiate. What if he calls our bluff? What if he just hires someone else? He won't, because there is no one else. You're the only person who knows those systems inside and out. He'd need weeks to bring someone else up to speed. He doesn't have weeks. 5 minutes later, Mitchell comes back inside, sits down, picks up Ellen's tablet. I need one change, he says. What? This clause about Derek and Vanessa having no authority. I can't have that in writing. It undermines Derek's position. Then Derek shouldn't have created this situation, Ellen says. Ellen, please. He's my son. I'm trying to teach him the business. I can't publicly strip him of authority. You don't have to publicly strip him of anything, Ellen says. This is a private consulting agreement. Nobody sees it except us, you, and your lawyer. But Tom needs protection. If Derek interferes with his work, Tom walks. No notice, no explanation. And your planes stay grounded. Mitchell considers this. What if I make Derek report directly to me on all operational decisions until this is resolved? Would that satisfy you? Ellen looks at me. I nod. That works, Ellen says. But it needs to be in writing, and it needs to include Vanessa. Vanessa doesn't even officially work for us yet. Then it should be easy to keep her out of operations. Mitchell signs the tablet. Ellen downloads the document, emails it to herself and Mitchell. Then she forwards a copy to me. Congratulations, Ellen says. You're now employed by Apex Aviation as an independent consultant. When can you start? Mitchell asks me. Now, I say. Good. Let's go. Alone, I say. I work alone. You can observe from wherever you want, but I don't need Derek or Vanessa or anyone else standing over my shoulder asking questions. Tom, those are the terms, Mitchell. You want your planes flying again? I do it my way. Mitchell nods, slowly. Fine. I'll let security know you're coming. You'll have full access. Anything you need. I need my old credentials reactivated. Done. And I need Derek and Vanessa out of operations control until I'm finished. Mitchell hesitates. Mitchell, I say, they're the reason we're here. If you want this fixed, keep them away from me. I'll handle it, Mitchell says. We leave the coffee shop. Mitchell goes to his car. Ellen and I go to ours. You okay? Ellen asks when we're alone. I don't know, I say. Part of me wants to fix this. Part of me wants to watch it burn. You're not that guy. Maybe I should be. Tom, I look at her. Fix the planes, she says. Make sure people get home safely, but after that you don't owe them anything. She's right. But the satisfaction I felt this morning is starting to fade, replaced by something else. Not quite guilt, more like awareness. I've been angry for 18 hours, but now I'm about to walk back into Apex Aviation, back into the system I built, and once I do, I'll be responsible again. We drive to Apex headquarters. I park in the visitor lot. Ellen stays in the car. You sure you don't want to come in? I ask. You don't need me for this part, she says. Just remember, you're a consultant now, not an employee. You fix what's broken and you leave. Don't let Mitchell guilt you into anything else. Got it. I walk into the lobby. Security recognizes me, looks confused. Tom? I thought you... I'm back as a consultant, I say. Check with Mitchell Reeves. The guard makes a call, nods, hands me a temporary visitor badge. I take the elevator to the 7th floor. Operations control looks like a disaster zone. Papers everywhere. Screens showing red status indicators. 3 people I don't recognize hunched over terminals trying to figure out what's wrong. Vanessa is standing in the center of the room, phone pressed to her ear. She sees me and stops mid-sentence. "What are you doing here?" she says. "Working." "You don't work here anymore." "I'm a consultant. Check with Mitchell if you have questions." Vanessa's face goes red. She ends her call, walks over to me. "This is your fault," she says. "You sabotaged the system before you left." "I didn't sabotage anything. The system is working exactly as designed. You just don't know how to use it." "Then tell me how to fix it." "I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to restore operations. Mitchell's orders." "Where is Derek?" "No idea. Not my problem." Vanessa looks like she wants to hit me. Instead, she turns and walks out. I sit down at my old terminal. Log in using the credentials Mitchell reactivated. The system recognizes me immediately. Every dashboard populates. Every status indicator updates. I pull up the flight coordination interface. 12 aircraft still grounded, 3 diverted. Status shows they're all flagged for manual authorization. Which makes sense. That's the fail-safe I built. See, the system I designed has multiple layers. Automated routing handles 90% of operations. But certain scenarios require human verification, things like weather-related diversions, mechanical issues, crew scheduling conflicts. If the system can't verify those scenarios meet safety standards, it flags them for manual review. And manual review requires credentials that match the authorized user database, which I removed myself from yesterday. So when Vanessa tried to authorize flights this morning, the system rejected her. She's not in the database. She has no authority. The system did exactly what it was supposed to do. It prevented someone unqualified from making safety-critical decisions. I restore my credentials, run a system check. Everything comes back green. Then I start authorizing flights. 12 grounded aircraft cleared for departure within 6 minutes. 3 diverted flights rerouted to their original destinations. All systems nominal. I lean back in my chair. Around me, the operations control team is staring at their screens in disbelief. Everything just went from red to green. No explanation, no warning, just suddenly working again. One of them looks at me. "What did you do?" "My job," I say. I stand up, log out, walk to the elevator. Mitchell intercepts me in the lobby. "Tom, wait, that was incredible. How did you?" I restored my credentials and authorized the flights. Took 6 minutes. "Your planes are flying again." "That's it? That's all it was?" "That's all it was. Vanessa tried to authorize flights without proper credentials. The system rejected her. Safety protocol." Mitchell processes this. "So the system was never broken?" "Never broken. Just doing exactly what I designed it to do. Prevent unauthorized users from making safety-critical decisions." Jesus. You should probably have someone train Vanessa before she tries this again. Or better yet, hire someone qualified to manage operations. "Tom, I fixed your immediate problem. The planes are flying. Per our agreement, I'm done for today. Invoice will be sent Friday." I walk out before he can respond. Ellen's waiting in the car. "Well? Fixed? That fast?" "It was never broken, just locked out. I unlocked it." She grins. "So you made them pay triple your salary to flip a switch?" "Essentially." "Good." We drive home. My phone starts buzzing before we hit the highway. Derek, Mitchell, Lisa from HR. I ignore all of them. When we get home, I pour a drink. Ellen makes dinner. We eat in silence. "You feel better?" she asks. "No," I say. "I feel like I just enabled them to keep making the same mistakes." "You fixed the planes. That was the deal." "I know. So what's wrong?" I think about that. About Derek's face when he fired me. About Vanessa standing in operations control blaming me for her incompetence. About Mitchell begging me to come back and fix a problem his son created. "They didn't learn anything," I say. "Mitchell paid me a lot of money to make this go away. Tomorrow Derek and Vanessa will still be there, still making decisions, still putting people at risk because they don't understand what they're doing. That's not your problem anymore. But it will be, because the system I built requires qualified oversight, and they just prove they don't have it. So what happens next time? What happens when I'm not there to fix it?" Ellen's quiet for a long time. Then, "You could walk away. Let the contract expire in 30 days and move on." "I could, but you won't." "No," I say. "I won't, because if I walk away and something goes wrong, people could get hurt, and I'll know it's because I let ego override safety." "So what do you want to do?" I think about that question for the rest of the night. By morning, I have an answer. "It was Derek," I say. Mitchell's silence tells me I'm right. You don't know that, he says finally. Who else would leak internal safety documents to a reporter? Who else has access and motivation? Tom. Derek's angry, but he wouldn't. He absolutely would. You reassigned him. You sided with me over him. In his mind, I destroyed his career. Why wouldn't he try to destroy the company in return? More silence. Then Mitchell's voice quieter. What do I do? Figure out what the reporter has. If it's just the 40-page report I wrote, you can frame it as part of your proactive safety review. If it's the original logs with Vanessa's authorizations, you've got bigger problems. Can you? No, I don't work for you anymore, Mitchell. This is your crisis to manage. I hang up. Ellen's watching from the doorway. Derek leaked? Makes sense. He's pissed at his father. Pissed at me. Probably figures if he can't have the company, nobody should. That's scorched earth. That's revenge. Same thing I was doing a month ago, just messier. Ellen sits down. What happens if this goes public? Depends on what the reporter publishes. Best case, it's a minor scandal that blows over after Patricia's audit results come out showing everything's been fixed. Worst case, the FAA grounds the fleet again and launches a full investigation. Criminal charges are possible if they find willful negligence. Could you be charged? That stops me cold. Why would I be charged? You knew about some of those unsafe authorizations and didn't report them immediately. Patricia said so herself. If prosecutors decide to go after everyone involved, you might be included. I wasn't making the decisions. I was raising concerns that got overruled. Did you document those concerns in writing? I think back. Most of my objections were verbal. Quick conversations with Derek, warnings that got dismissed. I didn't write formal safety reports because I assumed Derek would fix it. No, I say. I didn't. Then you have no proof you objected, just your word against Derek's. And Derek has every reason to throw you under the bus if this goes to trial. The implications hit me all at once. I could be charged with negligence, lose my professional certifications, face criminal prosecution, all because I didn't document my concerns properly. I'm an idiot, I say. No, you're human. You trusted your boss to do the right thing. That's not a crime. But it might be criminally negligent. Ellen's quiet for a moment. Then, we need a lawyer, a real one, someone who specializes in aviation law and criminal defense. You're a lawyer. I'm a contracts attorney. This is way outside my expertise. We need someone who knows FAA regulations and federal prosecution procedures. She pulls out her phone, starts making calls. Within an hour, she has a name, Robert Chen, no relation to Vanessa, former federal prosecutor, now in private practice defending aviation executives. He agrees to meet with us Monday morning. That weekend is hell. I keep refreshing news sites waiting for the story to drop. It doesn't, not Saturday, not Sunday. By Monday morning, I'm convinced the reporter's still gathering information. Robert Chen's office is downtown, expensive furniture, walls covered with framed commendations from aviation organizations. He's 60-something, gray hair, calm demeanor, the kind of guy who's seen every crisis and survived them all. Ellen and I sit across from him. I explain everything, the firing, the near misses, my report, Patricia's audit, Derek's reassignment, the reporter's call. Robert listens without interrupting, takes occasional notes. When I finish, he leans back in his chair. You're in a difficult position, he says. Not insurmountable, but difficult. How difficult? If the FAA investigates and finds evidence you knew about unsafe operations and didn't report them, you could face civil penalties, possibly criminal charges depending on the details. The fact that you eventually documented everything and pushed for changes works in your favor. But the delay between when you knew and when you acted is problematic. I was raising concerns internally. Derek overruled me. Can you prove that? No, it was verbal. Robert nods. That's the problem. In aviation safety cases, documentation is everything. Verbal warnings don't exist in the eyes of investigators. If you don't have written records of your concerns, it's your word against Derek's. And Derek's incentive is to say you never objected. So what do I do? First, don't talk to the reporter. Don't confirm anything. Don't deny anything. Just say no comment and refer him to Apex's media relations. Second, start reconstructing a timeline of every safety concern you raised. Dates, times, who you spoke with, what was said. We won't be able to prove it, but it'll help establish your credibility. Third, prepare for the possibility the FAA interviews you. If they do, you'll need to be very careful about what you say. Careful how? Honest, but precise. Don't speculate. Don't volunteer information beyond what they ask. Don't try to defend yourself by throwing others under the bus. Just answer their questions factually. That sounds like something someone guilty would do. That sounds like something someone smart would do, Robert corrects. The FAA isn't interested in fairness. They're interested in finding out what went wrong and who's responsible. If you give them ambiguous answers, they'll interpret them in the way that makes their case stronger. If you give them precise answers, you limit their ability to twist your words. Ellen speaks up. What about Derek? If he leaked those documents, isn't that illegal? Depends on what he leaked and why. If he leaked proprietary business information, that's a civil matter. If he leaked safety documents to expose wrongdoing, he might have whistleblower protection. It's complicated. So he gets immunity for sabotaging the company? Possibly. If the FAA views him as exposing safety violations, they'll protect him, even if his real motivation was revenge. I feel sick. Derek creates the problem. I fix the problem. And now Derek might be protected while I'm investigated. How long before we know if there's going to be an investigation? I ask. If the reporter publishes, probably within 48 hours. The FAA monitors media closely. They'll see the story and start asking questions. If Apex is smart, they'll get ahead of it. Voluntary disclosure of the issues and the remediation steps, that might limit the damage. And if they don't, then you're all at risk. Mitchell for inadequate oversight, Derek for authorizing unsafe operations, you for failing to escalate, the company for systemic safety culture issues. We leave Robert's office with a game plan. Reconstruct the timeline, prepare for FAA interview, wait for the story to drop. Tuesday morning, it drops. Regional Business Journal, front page, Apex Aviation safety documents reveal multiple near-miss incidents. The story is detailed, specific. It names Derek and Vanessa. It references my 40-page report without saying where it came from. It quotes anonymous sources familiar with the situation, saying safety concerns were raised and ignored. The reporter interviewed Patricia Vance. She confirmed an independent safety audit was conducted and that corrective actions were implemented. But she wouldn't comment on specific incidents or individuals. The story doesn't name me directly, but anyone familiar with Apex knows I'm the senior operations consultant who identified the issues. My phone starts ringing. Mitchell, Derek, 3 different reporters. I ignore them all. Ellen reads the article twice. This is actually not as bad as it could be. How do you figure? Patricia's quote makes it sound like Apex took proactive action to fix problems. The story mentions the corrective measures. Yes, Derek and Vanessa look bad, but the company looks like it handled this responsibly. Because I forced them to. Which nobody needs to know. By afternoon, the FAA releases a statement. We're aware of the media reports regarding Apex Aviation. We're reviewing the matter and will take appropriate action if warranted. Translation. Investigation incoming. Wednesday morning, Apex's board issues a statement. We take safety seriously. An independent audit was conducted and all recommended improvements have been implemented. We're cooperating fully with regulators. Derek issues his own statement through a lawyer. I dispute any characterization that I authorized unsafe operations. All decisions were made in accordance with company protocols and industry standards. I look forward to clearing my name. Vanessa stays silent. Smart move. Thursday, I get the call I've been dreading. Mr. Brennan, this is Linda Torres with the FAA Flight Standards District Office. We're conducting a review of recent safety practices at Apex Aviation. We'd like to schedule an interview with you at your earliest convenience. I'll need to consult with my attorney. Of course. We can schedule for next week. Does Tuesday work? I check with Robert. He clears his calendar. Tuesday works, I tell her. 2 p.m. at our offices. Bring any documentation related to your work at Apex Aviation. The call ends. Ellen finds me staring at nothing. FAA? Interview Tuesday. Robert will be there? Yes. Then you'll be fine. Just tell the truth. You identified problems, you pushed for solutions, you implemented fixes. That's what safety professionals do. After letting those problems exist for weeks? Because you were following chain of command. That's also what professionals do. I want to believe her, but I keep thinking about Patricia's words. If you knew these decisions were dangerous and you didn't escalate beyond Derek, that's a failure on your part. The FAA is going to ask me the same question, and I'm going to have to admit I failed. The weekend is torture. Ellen tries to distract me. Movie, dinner out, anything to stop me from obsessing over the interview. It doesn't work. The investigation drags on for 6 weeks. During that time, I'm in limbo. Can't get another job in aviation because nobody wants to hire someone under FAA review. Can't move on because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Ellen tries to keep me busy. Home projects. Planning a vacation we both know we won't take. Anything to stop me from refreshing news sites every hour. Then, on a Thursday in late July, I get a call from Robert. Tom, the FAA released their findings. You should sit down. I sit. No criminal charges against anyone. That's the good news. Bad news is they found multiple regulatory violations. Derek's being fined personally. Vanessa's being banned from working in any safety-critical aviation role. Mitchell's being fined, and Apex has to implement additional oversight measures beyond what you already put in place. What about me? Administrative reprimand. It'll be on your record. They found that while you eventually took appropriate action, your initial failure to escalate concerns in writing was a violation of your professional responsibilities. So, I'm guilty. You're accountable. There's a difference. What does this mean practically? It means if you want to work in aviation again, you'll have to disclose the reprimand. It might limit your opportunities, but it's not a ban, it's a warning. I don't want to work in aviation again. Then it doesn't matter. After the call ends, I read the FAA report. It's 37 pages, most of it focused on Derek and Vanessa, but there is a section about me. While Mr. Brennan ultimately identified and reported critical safety deficiencies, his initial response to observed unsafe practices was inadequate. As a senior operations professional, Mr. Brennan had a responsibility to document and escalate safety concerns through formal channels. His failure to do so, while understandable in context, contributed to the continuation of unsafe practices. This represents a violation of professional standards. They're not wrong, but reading it in official government language makes it feel worse. Ellen finds me on the back deck. You okay? They're right. I should have documented everything from the start. Should have gone over Derek's head. Should have been willing to lose my job over it. You're human. You made a judgment call. It didn't work out perfectly, but you fixed it eventually. Eventually isn't good enough. Someone could have died in the meantime. But they didn't. The system you built held. The planes landed safely. You identified the problems and forced solutions. That matters. Tell that to the FAA. The FAA gave you a reprimand, not a ban. That means they recognize you ultimately did the right thing. They're just saying you should have done it sooner. Which is fair. Ellen sits next to me. What are you going to do now? No idea. You could consult independently. Safety systems design, lots of industries need that expertise. After this, who'd hire me? Anyone who reads the full report and sees you're the guy who fixed a broken system despite political pressure. I want to believe her, but mostly I'm just tired. The next morning, I get an unexpected call. Tom Brennan? Speaking. My name is Angela Reeves. It takes me a second. Mitchell's wife? Ex-wife. We divorced 8 years ago, but I still own shares in Apex. I've been following the investigation. Okay. I'd like to meet with you, if you're willing. Why? Because I think Derek owes you an apology, and I want to deliver it since he won't. We meet at the same coffee shop where I met with Mitchell. Angela Reeves is in her early 60s. Elegant, sharp eyes. She orders tea and gets straight to the point. Derek's always been insecure, she says. Mitchell pushed him into the business before he was ready. I warned Mitchell this would happen, that Derek would make decisions to prove himself rather than to do what's right. Why are you telling me this? Because I read the FAA report. I know Derek authorized unsafe operations. I know he fired you to cover his mistakes. And I know Mitchell enabled all of it by giving Derek authority he hadn't earned. That's between them. No, it's not. Derek's behavior affected hundreds of people, passengers, employees, you. I'm here because someone needs to acknowledge that what happened to you was wrong. Mitchell already apologized. Mitchell apologized because you forced his hand. I'm apologizing because you deserved better. I don't know what to say to that. Angela sips her tea. I divorced Mitchell because he put the company above everything else, including our family, including basic ethics. I hoped Derek would be different. He's not. He's exactly like his father. What do you want from me? Nothing. I just wanted you to know that not everyone in that family is blind to what happened. Derek won't apologize. Mitchell will minimize it. But you were right about the safety issues, about forcing changes, about refusing to enable their dysfunction. I didn't refuse anything. I went along with it for weeks. And then you stopped. That takes courage most people don't have. After Angela leaves, I sit in the coffee shop for a long time. Part of me appreciates her words. Part of me thinks she's giving me too much credit. Ellen texts, "Where are you?" Me. Coffee shop. Angela Reeves just apologized to me? Ellen. Mitchell's ex? Me? Yep. Ellen, what did she say? Me? That Derek's insecure and Mitchell's terrible, and I was right. Ellen, she's not wrong. Me? Doesn't change anything. Ellen, no, but maybe it helps you move on. Maybe. That weekend, something shifts. I stop obsessing over the investigation, stop refreshing news sites, stop replaying conversations in my head. Instead, I start looking forward. Ellen and I spend Sunday afternoon brainstorming what skills I have, what industries need them, what I actually want to do next. You're good at building systems, Ellen says, not just technical systems, process systems, safety cultures, accountability frameworks. Those aren't job titles. They could be. Consultant, auditor, safety advisor. Lots of companies need someone to come in and fix broken operations. After the FAA reprimand? Because of the FAA reprimand. You're the guy who fixed a dangerous situation despite political pressure. That's your brand now. That's a terrible brand. That's an honest brand. Some companies will avoid you, but the companies that actually care about safety will want you, because you proved you won't look the other way. She's right. Slowly, reluctantly, I start putting together a plan. Independent consulting, safety systems design, working with companies that actually want to do things right. It takes 2 months to build a client base. Small contracts, nothing glamorous. A logistics company that needs better safety protocols, a manufacturing plant updating their compliance procedures, a regional transit authority reviewing their maintenance standards. None of it is aviation. All of it is satisfying. Because I'm building systems the right way, with proper documentation, with distributed authority, with transparency and accountability built in from the start. No single points of failure, including me. By October, I'm making decent money. Not what I made at Apex, but enough. More importantly, I'm doing work that matters without the politics. Ellen's proud of me. I can see it in her face when I tell her about projects. When I explain new approaches to old problems. When I turn down work that doesn't meet my standards. You're different, she says one night. Different how? More confident. Before, you always seemed like you were waiting for someone to appreciate your work. Now you know it's good whether anyone acknowledges it or not. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. But yes, it's a compliment. We're at dinner celebrating 6 months since I left Apex. Nice restaurant. Too expensive, but Ellen insisted. To new beginnings, she says, raising her glass. We toast. My phone buzzes. I ignore it. Ellen gives me a look. What? I say. We're celebrating. Check it. It might be a client. I check. It's not a client. It's a news alert. Regional Business Journal. Apex Aviation announces major management restructure. I open the article, skim it quickly, feel my stomach drop. Mitchell Reeves is stepping down as CEO, effective immediately. The board cited strategic differences, but the real reason is obvious. The FAA investigation, the media coverage, the ongoing reputation damage, Mitchell's being pushed out. Derek's not mentioned in the article, which probably means he's already gone. Ellen sees my face. What is it? I show her the article. Good, she says. They deserved it. Mitchell built that company from nothing, and he destroyed it by prioritizing his son over safety. That's on him. She's not wrong, but I still feel something. Not quite sympathy, more like recognition. Mitchell made choices that seemed reasonable at the time. Trusted his son, gave him responsibility, hoped he'd grow into it. Those choices had consequences, just like my choices had consequences. You okay? Ellen asks. Yeah, just thinking about how things turn out. Things turned out fine for you. Did they? I've got an FAA reprimand, no aviation career. I'm starting over at 53. You're building something better at 53. You're doing work you believe in with clients who respect you. That's not starting over, that's leveling up. I want to believe her, and maybe slowly I'm starting to. We finish dinner, drive home. I sleep better than I have in months. The next morning I get an email from an unknown address. Subject: I owe you an apology. I open it carefully. Tom, you probably don't want to hear from me. I wouldn't blame you, but I need to say this. You were right. About the safety issues. About Vanessa not being ready. About me being in over my head. I was too proud to admit it at the time. Too invested in proving I belonged in operations. Too focused on looking competent instead of actually being competent. I've spent the past 6 months in therapy trying to understand why I made the choices I made, why I fired you, why I authorized dangerous operations, why I leaked those documents to the press when I should have been fixing problems instead. The truth is, I was scared. Scared of disappointing my father, scared of admitting I wasn't as capable as everyone assumed, scared that if I acknowledged my mistakes, I'd lose everything. I did lose everything anyway. My position at Apex, my relationship with my father, my reputation in the industry. Vanessa left me when the FAA report came out. Turns out she was more interested in the career opportunity than in me. I deserved all of that. But you didn't deserve what I did to you. Firing you was cowardice. Blaming you for the grounding was dishonest. Leaking those documents was vindictive. I know this apology doesn't fix anything. I know you probably don't forgive me. But I needed you to know that I understand what I did, and I'm sorry. Derek, I read it 3 times. Ellen reads it over my shoulder. He sounds sincere, she says. Doesn't matter. He destroyed people's careers. Put passengers at risk. Cost his father everything. Sorry doesn't fix that. No, but it's something. I think about that. Think about Derek in that conference room telling me my position was being eliminated, about him avoiding my eyes, about him doubling down instead of admitting mistakes. Part of me wants to believe this apology is genuine. Part of me thinks it's just more of Derek trying to make himself feel better. I don't respond to the email. 2 weeks later, I get another message. This time, it's a LinkedIn request from Vanessa Chen. I decline it. Some bridges you don't rebuild. Winter comes. The consulting work stays steady. I'm making a name for myself. Not as the guy who exposed safety violations at Apex. As the guy who builds robust safety systems that actually work. Ellen and I take that vacation we'd been planning. 2 weeks in New Mexico. Hiking, no phones, no email. Just the 2 of us remembering what life was like before aviation consumed everything. When we get back, there's a message from Patricia Vance. Tom, I'm putting together a training program for safety professionals, teaching people how to identify and report safety concerns effectively. I'd like you to be a guest instructor. Share your experience, what you learned from the Apex situation. I call her back. Patricia, I'm not sure I'm the right person for this. You're exactly the right person. You made mistakes and you learned from them. That's what safety culture is about. Not being perfect, being willing to acknowledge failures and improve. The FAA reprimanded me. Because you eventually did the right thing. Most people never get there. You can teach others how to get there faster. I think about it. About standing in front of a room of safety professionals and admitting my failures. About being that vulnerable. Let me talk to my wife, I say. Ellen thinks I should do it. You've been beating yourself up for 6 months, she says. Maybe it's time to use that experience to help others. I don't want to be the cautionary tale. Then be the recovery story. You screwed up, you fixed it, you built something better. That's a complete narrative. In February, I teach my first class. 20 safety professionals from various industries. I spend 2 hours walking them through the Apex situation. What I missed, what I should have done, what I learned. When I finish, a woman in the back raises her hand. You talk about failing to document concerns. But in practice, documenting concerns can be career suicide. How do you balance safety responsibility with job security? It's the question I've been asking myself for months. You can't always balance them, I say. Sometimes doing the right thing means risking your job. That's the hard truth nobody wants to say out loud. But here's what I learned. If you're in a position where doing your job correctly means losing your job, you're already in a bad situation. Document anyway, escalate anyway. Because the alternative is living with the knowledge that you stayed silent when you should have spoken up. The room's quiet. Another hand. Do you regret how you handled the Apex situation? Every day. I regret not documenting sooner. I regret not escalating beyond Derek. I regret letting politics influence my judgment. But I don't regret eventually doing the right thing, even though it cost me my career, my reputation, and 6 months of investigating. Because people are still alive who might not have been if I'd stayed silent. After class, several people thank me. One guy pulls me aside. I'm dealing with something similar at my company. Management's cutting corners. I've raised concerns verbally, but nothing's changing. Your story convinced me to document everything and go to senior leadership, even if it costs me my job. Document carefully, I say. Facts only. No emotions. Make it clear you're raising concerns because safety protocols require it, not because you have a personal problem with management. Thanks, this helped. Driving home, I realize Ellen was right. Talking about my failures doesn't feel like punishment anymore. It feels like purpose. March brings unexpected news. The Regional Business Journal is running a follow-up story on Apex. 1 year after the initial investigation, They want to interview me. I call the reporter. Jim Castillo, the one who broke the original story. Mr. Castillo, why would I talk to you? Because the story's not over. Apex is still recovering. Mitchell Reeves is fighting to keep his shares. Derek's started a consulting firm advising companies on operational efficiency, which is either ironic or alarming. And you've become a sought-after safety consultant. That's a complete narrative. I don't want to be part of anyone's narrative. I'm going to write the story either way, with or without your perspective. I'd rather include your side. I think about it, about controlling my own story versus letting others define it. One interview, on the record. You quote me accurately or I'll make sure everyone knows. Deal. We meet at a diner. Castillo's younger than I expected. Early 30s, sharp. He's done his homework, knows details I'd forgotten. Tom, let's start with the core question. Do you regret how you handled the initial safety concerns? Yes, I should have documented everything immediately. Should have escalated beyond Derek. Should have been willing to lose my job over it. But you eventually did lose your job. After letting unsafe practices continue for weeks, that's the part I regret. Some people say you orchestrated the whole thing, got fired, sabotaged the systems, came back as a hero. Those people are wrong. I didn't sabotage anything. The system worked exactly as designed. It just didn't work without proper oversight, which was my point. Derek claims you had a vendetta against him. Derek authorized 14 near-miss incidents in 6 weeks. If documenting that is a vendetta, then every safety professional is a vendetta waiting to happen. He's apologized to you privately. I'm surprised Castillo knows that. How did you... I'm a reporter. I follow up. Did you accept his apology? I acknowledged it. Whether I accept it is between me and Derek. Fair enough. Let's talk about now. You're teaching safety courses, building new systems. Would you ever go back to aviation? No. Why not? Because I learned something important. Being essential isn't the same as being valued. I'd rather build systems that don't need me than work somewhere that takes me for granted. That sounds like you're still angry. I'm not angry. I'm honest. The aviation industry has systemic problems with safety culture, with prioritizing metrics over people, with punishing whistleblowers and protecting executives. Until that changes, I'm happier working elsewhere. Do you think Apex will survive? That's not my concern anymore. But you spent 11 years there. You must care on some level. I think about that. About Mitchell. About the team I trained. About the systems I built. I care that the planes fly safely. I care that the changes I implemented are maintained. Beyond that, the company's success or failure is Mitchell's responsibility. Castillo writes something down. Last question. If you could go back to that first day when Derek fired you, what would you do differently? I'd stand up, walk over to Mitchell's office, tell him everything I'd observed over the past 6 weeks, put it all in writing, make him choose between Derek and safety right then, force the crisis immediately instead of letting it build. You think that would have worked? I think it would have been honest. Whether it worked or not, I'd know I did everything I could. Instead, I played politics and waited too long. That's my real failure. The interview publishes 2 weeks later. It's fair, quotes me accurately, shows the complexity of the situation without making anyone a villain or hero. Ellen reads it over breakfast. You come across well. I come across as someone who screwed up and admits it. Exactly, that's refreshing. Most people in your situation would deflect or spin. You're just honest. Is that a compliment? It's a fact, but yes, it's a compliment. My phone rings. Unknown number. I answer cautiously. Tom Brennan? Speaking. My name is Sarah Chen. I'm a recruiter for Sentinel Aviation Safety. We're a new firm specializing in independent safety audits. We read your interview. We'd like to talk about opportunities. I'm not interested in aviation work. We're not asking you to run operations. We're asking you to audit them, review other people's systems, identify risks, recommend improvements. Exactly what you did at Apex, but formalized into a service. Why would anyone hire someone with an FAA reprimand? Because companies want safety professionals who understand the real cost of failure. You don't just know the regulations. You know what happens when people cut corners. That's valuable. I meet with Sarah Chen the following week. Sentinel Aviation Safety is small, 10 employees, 2 partners. They're building a reputation for aggressive, thorough audits that don't pull punches. We don't work for the companies we audit, Sarah explains. We work for their insurers. Our job is to identify liability before it becomes a claim. That means we report everything we find. No politics, no compromise. That's a good way to make enemies. It's also a good way to prevent disasters. We're not trying to make friends. We're trying to keep planes from falling out of the sky. By April, I'm working part-time for Sentinel, auditing regional carriers, reviewing operations protocols, writing reports that make executives uncomfortable. It's perfect, because I'm doing safety work without the politics. If I find a problem, I report it. If management doesn't like it, that's their insurer's problem, not mine. Ellen notices the change. You're happy. I'm satisfied. There's a difference. You're splitting hairs. You're doing work you believe in and getting paid well for it. That's happiness. Maybe she's right. In June, I get assigned to audit a small charter operation in Nevada. Routine review, should be straightforward. It's not. Within 2 hours of reviewing their logs, I find patterns similar to what I saw at Apex. Marginal fuel reserves, deferred maintenance, crew fatigue, all authorized by the chief pilot to maintain schedules. I document everything, write the report, submit it to Sentinel. Sarah calls me the next day. Tom, this is explosive. If you're right, this operator could lose their certificate. I'm right. The logs don't lie. They're going to push back hard, claim you're biased because of the Apex situation. Then they can explain the logs to the FAA. I'm just reporting what I found. Sarah's quiet for a moment. You understand that if this goes badly, it could hurt Sentinel's reputation? It could also save lives. Isn't that why we do this? Yes, but... No buts, Sarah. Either we're a real safety firm or we're just another consulting company that tells clients what they want to hear. Which is it? We're a real safety firm. Then file the report. The charter operation fights back, calls me biased, threatens to sue Sentinel, claims I'm on a vendetta against the aviation industry. Their insurer doesn't care, grounds their fleet pending remediation. 2 months later, the FAA investigates, finds everything I documented, fines the chief pilot. Requires comprehensive retraining. No one dies, no planes crash, just consequences for dangerous behavior. Sarah calls me afterward. Tom, the partners want to offer you a full-time position, lead auditor, your own team, equity stake if you want it. I thought I was part-time forever. That was before you proved you'll fight for safety even when it's unpopular. We need more people like that. I talked to Ellen that night. It's a good opportunity, she says. Steady income, important work, room to grow. It's also full-time aviation. I thought I was done with that. You're not doing operations. You're doing oversight. That's different. You can't be fired by the people you're auditing. You work for the insurers. They want you to find problems. I'll think about it. But I already know my answer. By August, I'm Sentinel's lead auditor. My team is small, 3 people, all experienced safety professionals who got tired of being ignored by management. We audit 6 operations in the first 4 months, find significant issues in 4 of them. All of our findings are verified by follow-up FAA reviews. We're building a reputation, not as the friendliest auditors, as the most thorough. Companies that actually care about safety request us. Companies that don't dread us. I'm okay with that. One afternoon in October, I'm finishing a report when my phone rings. Tom, it's Patricia Vance. Patricia, how are you? Good. Listen, the FAA is hosting a safety symposium in December. They want presenters who can speak about real-world safety culture challenges. I recommended you. I already did your training course. This is different. National audience, regulators, operators, safety professionals. Your Apex story resonates with people. They want to hear how you went from being part of the problem to being part of the solution. I'm not sure. Tom, you've spent a year proving you're serious about safety, teaching courses, doing rigorous audits, standing up to companies that cut corners. This is your chance to influence the industry at a higher level. Don't waste it. She's right. In December, I present at the FAA Symposium. 200 people in attendance. I tell the Apex story honestly. My failures, my learning, my commitment to doing better. When I finish, the applause is polite but genuine. Afterward, a dozen people approach me. Some want advice, some want to share their own stories, some just want to shake my hand. One woman, maybe 60, pulls me aside. I'm a safety director for a major carrier. We've had concerns about our operations team cutting corners. After hearing your presentation, I'm going to push for an independent audit, even if it costs me political capital. Document everything first, I say. Build the case before you escalate. I will, thank you. Driving home, I think about that conversation, about how my worst professional failure became a teaching moment for others. Ellen was right. This isn't punishment anymore, it's purpose.